Hello, everybody. Good morning.
Hi.
Yeah, please hold. Also, hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah. Good morning. Please all meet our call. Say you as well, please. We're going to be going over to
Yes.
We'll get this assignment with them so they can
that's what it is.
that first of all, so they can see so if we can go down.
Yes.
Yeah. So, do you have a link?
So let me check.
Into normally, but in Chinese,
Hello? Okay, can you hear me properly?
Yeah, this is good.
You said? I just want to confirm if you can hear me properly before I begin.
This is good. Thank you. Yeah.
All right.
So I think before we could jump into the class, we can do a review of the assignment. So
You said?
I said before we jump into the class, maybe you can assignment. That can help.
First and second, I didn't get you.
Yeah, the Blink assignment, the two boards as well.
Good things. Done.
So we shared the link to
I can see the JavaScript. I'm looking at the JavaScript tags.
Oh,
okay, some people used to use GitHub.
So, do you want to share a screen with us? That would be very interactive.
You say?
I said, do you want to share a screen with us? That would be very interactive. If you would share a screen with us.
Yeah, I will. I'm actually looking at the assignment, but let me just get into this. How do I share my screen again?
Yeah, if you go to the left, the green button.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen now.
Okay. So the last assignment was about. I'm still going to look at what we have all done. Let me just try to hold on. So basically, the last assignment was based on loops. We talked about if the if else statements, the for loop, the while loop, the while loop, and the assignment was based on Fizboo's. So the question goes as follows: consider the following problem. Write a short program that prints each number from 1 to 100 on a new line. Right. So if I am to do this, sorry. Right. So if I want to do this correctly, the first thing I'll try to do is print a line from 1 to 100. Then so the first one says print. First one says write a short program that prints line from 1 to 100. The first thing that comes to mind in most cases is, do I use a for loop, a while statement, these things? Well, based on what we're doing, I would prefer to use the for loop. So I'll say for let the variable declaration of a equals to 0, and while a is lesser than or equal to 100, print a plus plus. So if I do this and it comes with the log a, it's going to print a from 1 to 100, 0 to 100. Right. So looking at the next question, it says for each multiples of 3. Can you hear me?
You can hear that.
You said? The background.
Yes, it's very loud.
I didn't get you.
Yeah. Okay. And I also laughing as well. So it's causing question.
Can you hear me properly? Did you?
I know, but there's noise. There's noise.
Hold on.
Hello. Let's just wait for Timothy. Yeah, we just need to reduce the noise that we can hear behind. We only had about 4 people that submitted their assignments for the last class, and that's really a big issue. So, well, Kendi Odessa at the evening summit, same with Oluwatoyosi Oegoke, Benjamin Apayami. Yeah, we only had Olukade Osisami, Shegwade Banjo, Ademola Ogidon, and Rahim Sikyo. So,
Hello.
like, hi, Tim Tyler, welcome back. Hello. Okay.
Hello.
Hi, Tim Tyler, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Let me share my screen. I think my what's it called actually crashed Safari. Can't believe that happened. It went on its own for loop.
Yeah. And afterward, do you intend to also check the Google Sheet and score the submission?
Yeah, I'll look at that too. Sorry, just let me try to clear some of my cache.
Hello, we've lost our Tentai again. So we're gonna wait for him to come back. But he's actually back. But he's
Okay.
muted now. Okay, now you're there.
Okay.
Good, good to have you.
So can you hear me?
Yes, this is good. All evening, can we just put a thumbs up or just signify on the chat channel?
So nice to know if you can see my screen properly. Okay, I think you can. So let's go on. Can you let me know if it's when it's good to go on?
Yes, please go on now. This is a good time.
Okay.
Thank you.
So the first thing we did, we wrote a short program that printed each number from 1 to 100. And the next question in the line says, for each multiple of 3, print fees instead of a number. So what that's saying is that anything that is divisible by 3, we should print fees into it. So we go into our program and say if A, so when we were talking about operators, we didn't mention module. It's called module. It's more like if so thing is divided by so and as a reminder. So I don't know if I'll call it a reminder, but we call it module. Right? If A plus 0 modulo 3 or 0 divided by 3, the reminder means so thing. So when we do this and do concept of law, right, we ask it to print what's it called fees. So let's run that and see what happens. As you can see, it's printing it's in between, but we'll get to the point whereby it actually removes what's it called, 11, 12, 13. It's not supposed to do that, but we'll get to that, right? And if we do an else, okay, I'm supposed to do else first, and because of I'm also printing console of log, that's why it's doing that. So when I do this, I run this again. So what is happening? So is A that's 1 divided by 3 with a reminder. Of course, is 2 divided by 3 with a reminder. Of course, is 3 divided by 3 with a reminder. No, and it goes on like that. So it replaces all those numbers that are divided by 3, that can be divided by 3, or can't be divided by 3 with a reminder, basically. So and we replace those numbers with phase. Then we do an else statement to print the rest of the numbers. So right now we will do another, because the next one is for each multiple of 5, print pause instead of the number. All right. So the next thing we do is if, and let me bring this down. So else if, I remember we talked about this. Else if, let me also do a block around it so we don't confuse ourselves, right? So we are doing it if A modulo 3 print fees, else if A, the same thing, so what is our question? For each multiple of 5, right? So anything that's by and also the same thing, right? We should do a console.log. We should do a console.log. Let me break this down so it doesn't look all that strange. So we do a console.log. We do a console.log that prints false. So it does this again and looks for things that always use a semicolon to end your statements. When we run this, as you can see, anything that is divisible by 5, so it gives us, you can see balls here, you can see
Hello, it just seems we lost them tire, but it should be back soon. Yeah. So let's just still wait. We're waiting for Temtire to join the call again. He just went offline. Welcome, Rahim. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, everyone.
Yeah, good morning, Rahim. So we had Temtire earlier. However, his network went off. So we're waiting for him to do the assignments that he gave to us last week, Thursday. So that's a good way to start. So we can, for those who haven't submitted, please, we need you to submit that Kenny or Desoya. If you are facing an issue, let us know. Okay, Tire is back. We lost Tire again. So we're waiting again to see how soon we can get him back. See, this will stay.
To 15 does not have a reminder, so it's not going to do anything. Same thing with 90, same thing with these other numbers. So,
Hi, Tire, hello.
yeah.
Yeah, we can actually see your screen again. Can you share your screen?
You can't see my screen.
Yes, I think you've been offline since, just
I've
came
been
back.
offline since.
Yeah,
Wow.
we've lost you like since 5 minutes ago.
Look at me. I was about to say if you don't understand anything.
Okay, please. Okay, we can see your screen now.
How about now?
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess I'll just have to go back. So when I try to run, if A is divided by 15 with a reminder, it didn't do anything for me. Why? Because 3 and 5, right, make up 15. So by default, it's more like say if 3 and 5 make up 15. So this would basically not work. If I run this, it's only going to print 3 and 5. It's going to give me just fulls and wholes, right? And to get what's it called, 15 to work, right? Because 3 and 5 makes up 15. We just have to do a separate loop for it. And when we run that, it gives us footballs, right? Because if you use just what's it called, 3 and 5 in the first place, they actually take all this. So trying to run it with 15, which is 3 times 5, would not necessarily give us the answer. The only thing we can think about is it's overriding um, 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 fees and booze, which is not what we intend to do. So the only way to get that to work is to do, and you do another what's it called? So to answer the first, which are multiples of 3 and 5, multiples of 3 and 5, 3 times 5, 15, instead of the number. So when we do this, we get a fixed boost. So if you have permutation, okay to do this openly, like the assignment question? Hmm?
Yes, it's okay.
Hello. So the assignment submission, is it okay to do it openly?
Yes, please. It's okay to do it openly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Need to close down and
Just
done.
close it. Okay.
Sorry, just okay. Let me look at this on GitHub. Let me use the ones that I will just now. Okay.
It's just only. So this will help us have a consistent class because they're just older. Pending that time, for those who are yet to submit, can we make our submit to submit? We'll show the link again here. We only have 4 submissions because without the submission, it's going to be hard to track how we are performing. So
30 minutes ago.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Hello.
Retired. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Please present your
Uh,
screen to. That'll be good. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, we can see now.
keeps going into this infinite loop.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Um, and submission.
So, okay, I
How
can
to
share it again.
write.
Have you seen it? I can share it again with you on Slack. I'll share it again with you now.
Okay, that should work.
It's on Slack now. In case. Yeah, it's on Slack now. Yeah.
So let me just try to answer the question. Six zero.
My back.
Greater than or equal to 100. A plus plus. Then the concept of log A helps brings out A. So taking a cue from what Shegun did, he actually did if A modulo 3 is equal to 0, right? And he said prints A. So when he did this, it actually so put print again, print first. When he did this, it actually printed fields everywhere A modulo 3 is equal to 0. So without a reminder, basically. Um, so I keep printing this console of log. Then if you do an else statement, print A wherever it's not supposed to. So A modulo 3 without a reminder, like A divided by 3 doesn't have a reminder, so 0. A divided by 0 doesn't have a reminder, so 0. Um, 3 can go into 6 two times without a reminder. 3 can go into 9 three times without a reminder, and so on and so forth. We can also do um, else if A modulo 5, doesn't have a reminder and console the log, then we console the log false. If you do this again, what's happening?
Your console.log.
Okay. Thank you. As you can see, we also have what's it called? 5 can go into divide 5 and without a reminder. It can go into 15 without a reminder and all that. So taking a cue from what Sheldon did, using the is equal to like 0 made it quite easy to do if another if else statement with A module. I can still do A module 15 support 0. So anything 15 can actually go into and not have a reminder. So you can still consult the law. Consult the law. Still consult the law. This thing has confused my phone. I don't even know if I'm Nigerian anymore. Then when we run this, okay,
Hello, lost. Temitayo. We're gonna go why that happened. Yeah, please hold on.
helpful. Okay. So I think you have shared the assignment with me again. Am I okay?
Yeah, we can't see your screen. You need to share your screen with us.
How about now?
Not yet. Okay, now we can see now. We can see your mail. Okay, now we're good.
Let me get out the assignment so we
Yeah,
can
so
move on to the other.
it's on Slack. Share with your Slack.
Response.
Yeah, that's it. That's good. Yeah.
So initially I talked about Swift. So we have just okay. Okay, outside can be and do a shade. Okay, so let's say at least 11 members, and we have just 4 submissions. So if you're looking at what Shay did a very exciting job here. Sorry, Shaggy. Right, and everything. He didn't use if else, right? So or else if. It's exciting to see though because he just did if this, do this, if this, do this, if this, do this, right? And he didn't try to console the okay from the beginning the console the log there. He printed the result and everything is actually showing up exciting. So good work, Shedman. Okay, this is another brother of mine. I initially was confused with is a multiple of 3 and I don't know how this is multiple to answer since you don't have 100. I said it. So is a looking at the question, all you're doing right now, you're just passing um, what will I do? You're just passing. Let me show you this. This Damola. What you're doing right now, you're just passing variables, undeclared variables, basically. So nothing is going to happen, right? If because you can come on the global scope and do a let me just try to go around what you have done and do over A is equal to 3. The declaration of A is, let's say, let's say I don't know if this is going to work. So just experiment and see what happens. Right? Time modulo 3. I don't really think this is going to work. I don't really think because the let p is confined to this block scope. So it means it can't run outside of this scope. It can only print from this. So you're not trying to get anything from the global scope. So if you were to do this correctly, all you needed to do is if a model 3 is equal to 0, I think you even started from did you run this before you run this thing, right? If a module is equal to 3 and a modulo 5 is equal to 0, print this code. So let's see what happens here. Oh, okay, look at what you did here. Let me go back. Let me go back so you don't say I'm the one that touched it. Let me go back. So look at this. You created a for loop and run your if else statement outside. Are you saying this? So all you just did was you answered the first question. Right? You answered the first question. So you said if I is equal to 1, right? And I is lesser than or equal to 100, I plus plus. So basically, your code will just print 1 to 100. Well, then you add your if-else statement outside, and that's why it's showing a syntax error. Because first of all, even you closed your for loop, um, um, you close your for loop first, and you still come here to close it on line 19. So if you run this, it will just print 1 to 100, but these guys will not run. So I'm sure from the examples I gave earlier, you're able to understand that. I would prefer if you go and do this again, you should do it again. Don't let me solve you need to understand it. So, because one thing you need to get is that if this is a variable that you actually say multiply by 3, right, by multiple of 3, right, you have to actually assign something into the variable bucket. Like, so there is no value. This thing is not, there's no value, it's not communicating, right? So it's more like you are trying to run an if-else statement on an empty bucket. Nothing will happen because it's empty, right? So if you still want to use this format, based on the solution I did earlier, or you can ask some of your colleagues, or you should be able to solve this properly. But this is not what they're looking for. And if you're running in most cases, some people don't even, look at this. If I don't use the block statement, right, and I run this, it's still run. It's still run. Right? But it's always good to put all your stuff in and then close block so that because of repeatability. So let me give you back your code, and you should come up with a proper solution to this. This is how you give it to me. So let me run it. Okay, so this is how you give it to me. So I would check back and see what you have been able to do. For this is not what we're looking for. So this is Shegun, this is Danola. So because I've basically edited your work, yeah, it's actually calling it my own. So it's not my own. Own your stuff. Let's see. We'll see some K. Okay. Let me open that on GitHub. So my still is GitHub. I don't have to just do a new. Let's do a new stuff. Open your. You even use HTML. Okay. Guy actually did some dumb. Let's hope it works on this guy. Let me just pick it and paste it. Okay, you guys have seen it. So he did a let index the variable declaration index have a value of I, and if index is of 1, sorry, and if index is lesser than 100, you should add index plus 1. And it did. Okay. So I don't know if you are trying to communicate or like you have this, you have this, you have this, you have this. Are you trying to write to the DOM? No, I don't get it. Yeah, because we have not even gotten to DOM, but you know what? Let's run it on the DOM. Let us be sure what you're trying to achieve. So, even if I run it on my console, I know what. I don't know. Okay, it did. But there are a lot of security. Okay, it did. So it worked. So this is another exciting way. I've not seen this kind of this thing. He actually your solution actually works for the DOM. So it's good to know. Let me try to explain what it did. So it did an if, and so if index has 1 modulo 3 and doesn't have a reminder, or if index modulo 5 doesn't have a, and every, like it just puts both of them, you know, and in a bracket, and asked if, so it's more like saying if these guys equal to 0. So if when this run and the output equals to 0, document.write. So you're actually printing to the DOM, which is the browser itself. And that's what you just did there. I was expecting console.log, but since you are ahead of us for next week class, I think you'll be taking us to the next class. You know, and he also did it here again. You know, if index of 3 modulo 3 is equal to, even if you didn't put it in the, what's it called, extra bracket, it worked, but yeah, you wrote it straight, so like you communicated directly with the DOM, and you know, which is also exciting work for next time. Just try to put some comments, because if you throw this to some of your colleagues today, they might just like, okay, what are you trying to do? You know, but it works. But as you can see, when I run it on this guy, it didn't work. It didn't work because we actually tried to communicate with the console, not the DOM. But it's also exciting to see that, okay, what you did work on the browser DOM. So let's get the last one. So it'll be exciting to see what the rest of you can do. You know, having just 2 assignments now, not that. Okay, Abdul Rahim. Let me just pick that out. There's something they call GitHub gist. You can also use that subsequently. Let me close this. So look at what my guy did here. Exciting work. Let's run it. Let's run it. So it's printing beside. It's printing beside. This is exciting. So looking at what he did here, he declared a variable called named I, and assigned the value of 1 to it. I don't know the need for this since we are still doing this. And if you had done this, you might not even need to do this, right? But let's just go on. And you also did the same thing as the last guy. Yeah, you also did the same thing as the last guy. Said if I'm modulo 3. So let me take out this first one first and see what happens. It still runs. So you're just declaring the very good declaration is still, you know, sometimes JavaScript gets sense to know that, okay, this is a block scope, and Val just responds to things in here, you know. But I think next time, if you're trying to do this, try to run with the let keyword, you know, so that it makes sense. I think going forward, it's best to work with let, unless you're trying to do something that can be accessible from the global scope. That's what we use. So this I now can be accessible from anywhere, from even inside here, you know. And we wouldn't want, say, let's try something strange. Let's do that and run it. Initially, in most stuff, it will just leak into. It will leak into what's it called, your for loop, which we don't want. That's why the let keyword, it gives us a block scope again. So what you did here, you said, so if I modulo 3, and you use the strict is equal to smart guy, you use the strict is equal to, because in most cases, let me see if I can run the second example. If you say A is equal to 1, and B is equal to, no, if I use this one, and B is equal to A, All right, it will still, if I do console.log, log is A equal to B. I think this one will run correctly. Yeah, it's going to give me true because it's straight. If we're working with things like objects, for instance, now, right? Let's say obj A equals 1 and obj 2 A is equal to 1. I think if we come here and do obj dot A straight equals to this in obj dot A, I think it might run false. Unexpected. Okay, I think we can use what's it called? This like this in here. Okay, no. Let's see what happens. Same thing. We'll get back to objects though. Well, I like that you used the strict equal to, you know, and you did the same thing. You said if this is this, you put it in its own bracket, and you did the same thing here. And you put an extra bracket. Also put an extra bracket. It's exciting to see. So basically, we're printing I and the numbers beside themselves. So when you say 3, you printed 1 to 100, and they use what I call it template string, right? So in AS6, there's a different way to do this without doing plus, but you try to run the answers just beside themselves, which is also smart. I think it's a good way to communicate too. You know, so we know that C is divisible and all that. So it's a good way to communicate. So this is also exciting. It's also exciting. You know, but we also have to put readability in mind. You know, so good one, Abdurrahim. It's also a good one. So don't worry, I'll be putting feedback and everything in the general sheets later. So let's move on to today's class. That's my Google Docs. So in today's class, we are meant to focus on we're meant to focus on arrays, functions, and objects. Arrays, functions, and objects. Right, so let's go to MDN. No slide can beat Mozilla Developer Network. That's what MDN means. Still going to guides. And the first thing we want to talk about is so even on Mozilla this thing, I think, sorry. Let's just go. Let me just go to my comments. So in JavaScript, we have the primitive types and I think the reference types. Primitive types are like strings and all that. And we have the reference types, which are objects. Like everything in JavaScript, in most things in JavaScript are objects. Functions are objects. You know, arrays are objects. Objects are objects. So they're you know, so We'll get to object-oriented programming in the next class, but for now, let's just start. So, an array is an ordered collection of data, either primitive or object, depending upon the language. Arrays are used to store multiple values in a single variable. So, okay. Let me just copy this and paste it on the Slack channel, just you submit it. So arrays are used to store multiple collections and store values in a single variable. This is compared to a variable that can store only one value. So if you notice in the last stuff we did, we talked about variables, right? We talked about variables, which is for a is equal to 1. We can only store one value with this, right? Well, if I console log, a, it gives me the value of a, which is 1, right? So there are two ways to actually write an array. We have we're going to learn about the literal type. When we get to proper objects, we can now diverge into that one might be more complicated. So this is the easiest way to write an array. This is the simplest way to write an array. You always write an array with what's it called? I don't know if it's called these brackets. I just call it. I don't know what word to use for it. I know you always write an array in such brackets, basically. So as you can see, we have. Let me just call this A. If I print it, that's going to give me an array of 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So if I do console.log array.length, a.length rather, it gives me 4, which is 1, 2, 3. So one thing you should not confuse, right? This is array. The first one is array index of 0. So the array always starts with 0. Always starts with 0. So this is array index of 0, array index of 1, array index of 2 and 3. So by default in your array you have 3, but length will just count 1, 2, 3, 4, and all that. So you can put in strings or numbers, or you can even put in objects in arrays. When we get into understanding JSON, you realize array of objects. You just use arrays to store an ordered collection of data. And array has different methods. Sorry, just give me a minute. I want to get to, okay, arrays here. Array is, as I said, it's an object. So the JavaScript array object is a global object that is used in the construct of arrays, which are high-level list-like objects. So this is an array. If you want to write an object, you can also say by a. This gives us a literal object. So this is how you write objects, and this is how you write an array, right? So if I do a same, right, and I do console. Let me change this word so it doesn't obj. If I do obj.b, if I do obj.b, it gives me time, right? So this is an object, this is an array, but we'll get to object later. So if you look at this, we did this earlier, which is knowing the length of the array, which is 2, and as I talked about index into an array also, which is if I do console.log, let's say console.log a index. So if you want to get the index of this, if I put 0, what do you think it will print out for me? To print out 1, right? If I put in 4, because it's just 3, it's going to give me undefined. If I put in 3, it's going to give me 3. So it's going to give me 4, because this is index of 0, index of 1, index of 2, index of 3. So your arrays always start from 0 to infinity, basically. Also, you can look over arrays. We'll get to array methods, which are things like for each. We have map, we have filter, but we'll get to that when we start working on more complicated things. We also have other data types. So if you're trying to push something to, if you're trying to push to if you're trying to push to if you're trying to push to so when we get to data types, like if I'm trying to push something into this array, just to let me just do it here. You can just do a.push. Though we'll get to this. This is what we call there's something we call data structures and algorithms, right? In JavaScript. So you can push in a.push, let's say 5. Let's see what happens. Right, so you push in 5. If I use pop, it pops for so I think it's using the index, so it pops up 4 and 5, right? So we'll get into all of those. So those are methods. We have array properties and array methods. You see more of those on here. When we get to object-oriented programming, we learn more about prototypes in JavaScript. Array is that basics, and we have push, we have pop. They're all properties of an array. You can use it to manipulate your array listing. Let me see if I can get an example. So basically, that for now, that's like the basics of what an array is. Before I move forward, just if you don't understand what I've been saying since, please simplify now so we can try to do something on arrays. I'm still online now, so yeah. If you don't understand what we have been doing since, just let me know so I know where to. So what things you need to understand: arrays are built in objects. We have array properties and we have array methods. Array.length is an array property. Array.prototype, which when we get to object-oriented programming, we understand more, is also a property. And we have methods like arrays of, concat, like these are in-depth stuff, right? We have for each, we have the map, we have the key. By the time we start working with what's it called, React, we use a lot of maps, you can play around with all of those things, I'd look for you can play around with these things, because you understand more by looking at this documentation. And if you have any question, let me know. So we can go into functions for today. We'll still come back to having some solutions, but let's just go. So standard built-in objects. Function is also a standard built-in object. Yeah, function is also a standard built-in object. So let me know if it's safe to go on. Okay. All right. Yes, I can go on. So the function creates a new function object. The function constructor creates a new function object. So the same way the easiest way to write a function is, so this is a function declaration. Function declaration has the function, it has the declaration title, let's say beans, right? And it has what's it called? Bracket. You can put in parameters in here, so I can call it RR, right? So this is a function basically. This is a small example of function. I can say return R, right? And if I do, I don't know if I do console, but if I just do beans and I put in something, let's say 10, okay, and I run this. Okay, I didn't spell function correctly. Function. And I run this, it prints out 10. So the way functions work, let me use the slides with this thing to just explain functions properly. So we have what they call function declaration and function expression. We do a function, this is the function declaration. It has the function identifier, the declared name, which is beans, right? So this stuff I put here are called parameters. Like, so they are like, parameters are also variables, right? So the same way we have for A, right? Parameters are variables. You store values into parameters. So that's why when I return, you use the return statement to actually, when you do something in your function, you use when you execute, the first thing it goes to look at is the return statement, like, okay, what are you returning? And if you do not return, do not put a return statement, it does what they call implicit return. So basically, just uses this guy. So a function will not run if I run like just beans, console.log beans. If I do this console.log beans, right, it basically prints out the function back to me. It doesn't give me what I've sent. So the only way for this to run is with the parentheses. Right. I wish I had a chalkboard with me. I would have explained in details, in it's so basically there's what they call execution context. Like it goes from step 1 to step 2 to step 3. So if I run this, for instance, right, it gives me undefined because I basically this guy executes this guy. So I can have more than one functions. I can have functions edge, right? I give it a parameter of boom and return it, right? So I think the best thing for us to do right now is actually solve a problem using functions. Um, let's say beginners examples of functions in JavaScript. I think, okay, this guy even gives us, and let me also share this one with you. Let me also share this one with you. So you can read more about functions and understanding the basics, right? So let me just use this blog post to explain what, like, just a bit. So function is a subprogram designed for a particular task. Functions are executed when they are called. This is not for when they are called. This is not for invoking a function. So you call a function, the parenthesis, as I said earlier, this guy, so this, let me remove it from here. You call function using this guy calls the function, right? Calls the function. So if I input what I want, I can call it one, right? If I run this, it gives me one, right? So the parenthesis calls the function. If I just put in beans, right, it prints out function beans blah 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 again. Um, Functions are objects, as I said earlier. Um, so this is also something you should also put in mind. Function names. You have the function, its name, the parameters, and the statements. The statements, you can do more things inside. I don't think I would advise if you have statements inside a function, but you can do more things in a function. And we also have function expressions, right? Function expressions is quite simple, but I would always prefer you would always get to where you need to use function expression. But if I do const a is equal to function, if you notice, I'm not going to put the function name. I'll just put listen, I need to return. Let me still use ARR. If I return ARR, that's just, in most cases, I'm just saying array. If I do this, it prints one for me. So this is a function declaration, right? And this is a function expression. So in ES6, we have what they call the arrow function, right? The concept of the arrow function is a lot of people feel, what's it called? Doing this is too long, or I don't think it's too long. It's best to be as explicit as possible. But there's something they call the this. We'll get to this when we get to objects. There's something they call the this and the this keyword in JavaScript. So what that does is, how do I explain it? So what that does is, I can have something in a different function, and where I am executing I can decide to execute this guy inside here.
Hello.
Hello? Don't tell me I'm missing.
Why are you not using a semicolon in the line 6?
You said? What did you say? Hello?
Why were you not using a semicolon in the line 6? You already rectified it.
Why did I what?
We're not using a semicolon in the line 6 before.
Line 6. Oh, that was a mistake now. Yes. You always close your stuff in your statement or something. Right? So as I was saying, you can also call your what's it called function. This is what they call, this one is higher on that function. So it's another thing entirely, right? Because I'm executing this guy inside here. You get, so it's more like I'm executing this guy inside here. There are also what they call that we have closures and variable things, but we'll get to all those ones subsequently. I think we should take like 30 minutes to read this blog post, right? We should all just 30 minutes to read it and understand what functions are about, then so we can get to doing actual classwork. Hello? So let's read this. I've shared it on the group. You should read it on there, so I can come up with a class work that we can actually do to understand functions on a proper note. So so we should be back by 11:30. So I'll still be up. So I'll see you then.
Hi. I don't know if I can ask a question, please. I have a question. Hello?
Oh, I
Hello?
think similar offline, but I am hold on. Let's get the meeting.
Yeah.
Hello, I can tell.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Hi. Okay. All right. Hello. So what's the question?
Okay, so I want to ask, what if in a function what if you write a function and you do not use the return keyword?
You do not
But
use the what?
return. You gave the function parameter ARR, then you return
No.
ARR.
The ARR can be anything. You can call it anything.
No, I know about the parameters. I'm asking the return keyword. You said return ARR. So what difference or what's the difference if you use probably a document.writeline or you use the console.log?
So you need to understand that we are not doing what's it called? We are not doing we are not playing with the DOM yet. We're just working with the console, like pure JavaScript. So using document.write in your functions, it's not what we are about today. We're just about printing to the console itself. So document.err, like if you notice there, it also has parentheses, like you're actually running a function of methods. So when we get to DOMs, I would break all those down. But now
So, yeah,
let's get the functions right.
the idea of my question was if it
You
is
said?
strictly if you use strictly return keyword for functions, or you can also use other keywords. I don't know if
I
you
didn't get
understand.
you.
I said, is it strictly return keywords that is used with functions, or
Yeah,
you
the
can
function
use
is when you have a statement, you return what you need to return. Like you want to print something out or you want to send something out of the function, use the return keyword to send it out.
no problem. No problem.
Anyway, if you have any question, please feel free to ask. Just on the mic and then I will answer it, okay? I can just type it in. If you need any question, anything as well. Also, you will be able to play the video after the class. Yeah. Thank you.
You get into videos in the app for it, I swear. I will give you.
Like, it's talking about my email,
You said
our G Suite, and I've been suspended again.
G Suite. I don't have access to any of these things.
So who is to handle it?
It's show now. Show is the one that have access to these things. You didn't. I didn't. Nobody did.
Oh, you notice?
I
Now,
didn't notice.
I wanted to log in. He said our Gmail chemical has been suspended.
It means we are not.
Eh. So between now and then, I cannot do anything.
Hello? So I guess we have all read that, and we're slightly comfortable with functions, you know. So let's play around with some examples, right? So something about parameters that we should look into, like declaring a function with the parameter can have more than one. It can have as much as possible. It can have up to 10,000 depending on, but it won't be wise for you to have a function. So you can just return one. Return, let's say return just p1, right? And if I do my func, A, B, what do you think will happen? It's only return the ones. It's only return the one I asked you to return. Hello? Yes. Okay. I'm going on. So as I said, the parameter can have more than one. There can be more than one parameters rather, right? And if you return just one, by the time if I do more than ABC, right, it only returns the one I asked it to return. It ignores the rest of them, right? So that's one thing you should pay attention to when you're writing your parameters. You can also use functions as variable values. So let's say, let's just call it, let's give this P1, right? And we can do something like X is equal to, then we take this guy. So this guy would, the return value is stored in X, which is, so what this actually means is X is equal to A. X is equal to the value of A, because the return value is A, this A. So we are just storing this guy into this guy. You get, so it's when we call this, it runs something called creates execution context and runs all this guy and gives the value in here. But let's go on. So I can have, so as I was saying, you can use function as variable distance. So let's call it text. You can say this is the using template string, but we can use this. There are other ones. There's a new type of template string, but we can just do this. Right. Pass. Sorry. So once you should understand that these guys are quite different. So if I do console deploy, when I run this, you can see that the value of my function that we stored into X can be used as a variable value in our text. So that's when you see, let's take a scenario. You go on some service, you see, welcome, delay to Facebook, right? Daily is not basically being assigned. It's actually a function that is running that actually says take the value of whoever this guy is and put it into this text. So the welcome is a string, but the name, depending on whoever is logging in, it changes, right? So if I come here and change this to me, right? I don't have to touch this guy. Just this is a Timmy class. Anything I change it to, so those are one of the things we need to understand with with using functions as variables. You should also understand that functions can also have local variables. So I can say A is equal to Volvo, right? I can say A is equal to Volvo. I return A. So if I do, I don't even have to have this, right? Because this guy parameters also serve as variables. So if I return this, my func, right? If I just execute this basically, I get Volvo, right? So this is a local variable. So one of the things we need to try to avoid is like, okay, look at this. A is equal to, let's say, Benz. Right? Not spec Benz. Whatever. Let's say Benz. Right? And we run this. This guy is local to this guy. You get? So this function is going to look inside this function. If it doesn't find it, right, it should return undefined. But this is the problem. This is the problem of it checks its local variable. If it doesn't find what it's looking for, it just says, just goes into the global scope and finds whatever it's there. If it doesn't find anything in the global scope, it returns undefined. A reference scenario basically not defined, as you can see, right? So that's one thing we need to understand. We need to understand that there is a global scope and there is a local scope contained that you can have variables in the local scope. So anything we put in as a parameter here, for instance, is a local scope, is local scoped to the function, right? A good example that we can also work on is something like function. We can do an alerts class and say func alert A, right? So basically this one will talk to the DOM, I believe. So if I run my form, right, it actually pops it out. You can see it pops it out A. So you can do a lot of exciting things with functions. A lot of exciting things with functions. One other thing we should talk about before I throw the major assignment on you guys is recursions. So I don't know if this sounds normal, but you can actually call a function within itself, right? And this concept is known as recursion, and it's very important for us to understand what recursions are. Recursion, right? When you call a function within itself. So as I'm saying, it's perfectly okay for a function to call itself, as long as it doesn't do so often. You get, so you don't do, because there's something they call the call stack in every programming language. Specifically to JavaScript, there's something they call a call stack. So when you run a function, it goes on the call stack, right? When it's done with that, it clears for the call stack, and the next function it wants to run goes on the call stack. So I wish I could just draw a board, but I think I'll do a long-term explanation on call stack going forward. But the call stack. So when I run function, right? Let's just say when I'm running function A, right? It goes on the call stack. It goes on the call stack. While function A is running, nothing else is run, right? When it's done with function A, it removes function A from the call stack. So that's where we start to talk about if you're trying to run function A, it pushes to the call stack. So remember when we were talking about arrays, yeah? Yeah? I'm listening. Yes? I can hear you. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yeah, you can continue. Sorry, I think someone's trying to say something. But if it's possible, it looks like there's a lot of background noise. Can you? I said it looks like there's a lot of background noise behind you. If you can help us speak closer to the mic, if it's possible.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Please go ahead.
Okay. So as I was talking of call stack, right? When I'm running the first function, right, it pushes to the call stack. When it's done, it pops out. If you remember what we did in arrays, like push, pop, another thing that we had in, as array methods and all that. Same thing applies to some of it. It's basically what we get. I don't know if we were talking about data structures, but I think I'll give resources for understanding data structures. So when your call stack is overflow, that's why they say you don't use your recursion too often, but it's possible. I don't know if you have heard of Stack Overflow. That's where the stackoverflow.com, the name was actually gotten from your call stack being overflowed. So Stack Overflow, hence the name. So let's continue with our recursion. As I said, it is perfectly okay for a function to call itself, as long as it doesn't do it so often that it overflows the stack overflow. So this is an example of using recursion. So I declare a function called power. It's the base, having a parameters of base and the exponent, right? Then I can use the if statement, if exponent, which is the parameter, and understand your parameter also serves as the lookup variable, right? So I'm saying this, and I'm saying if using strict equal to, so I'm not assigning it, I'm just trying to compare that if true or false. So that's what I can use strict equals to here, right? So when I use just this, I'm assigning to a variable. When I use this, I'm trying to compare Boolean, like true or false. If I use strict equal to, like it strictly adheres to true or false. So let's go on. So if I'm using strict equals to say if what I'm going to pass into the variable of what's it called, the parameter of exponents, right? If it's strictly equal, using the strict sign to 0, it should return. So if they are not the same, true or false, it should return 1. Then I can do if else. So this is where you're going to see where I use recursion. So I can say return, if it's not that, return base, which is the parameter, times power, which is the function that we have. We have not even run it, we're already using it again, like, right? And we are passing in the both what's it called, parameters again. So basically we are calling our functions again, right? Always remember to use -1, right? I think if you don't use the -1, so we are actually returning, the value which is sorry, I'm pointing to the screen. We are returning the base parameter times our function power, which has a parameter of base and exponential, and we're managing it by 1, right? So if I come to plug this, power, right? 2, 3. Voila, magic. It returns 8. What just happened? You know, I guess that's the question everybody's asking. What just happened? So let me try to explain this in detail. So basically, we are passing the parameter of base. We are returning base. So base is 2, right? Then we are returning power, which has base, which is 2 and 3. Also has 2 and 3, right? And if we don't use the -1, let's see what happens. I think it breaks. It breaks, like Stack Overflow. Too much recursion, right? So that's the use of I'm still thinking of real life scenarios where we can actually, because in most cases you might not use recursion all the time, but there are chances where you would want to, right? But what is happening right here is that we are multiplying, we are calling our function in our function and multiplying it by, so it's more like 2 and 3. Like this guy would run 2 times 2, 4. 3 times 3 6, and minus it and times them together. So I know that doesn't really do justice to it. So I'll share a YouTube link that explains recursion in details. Like, there's something you can always go back to learn from. Understanding recursions. Understanding recursions in JavaScript. So, and recursion is also something around it's an algorithm basically. So it's still around data structures. Let's use Akara. You can find a lot of questions on Akara. Let me copy the link. Copy link location. I'll share that with you guys. So you have a lot of resource as it is right now. And let me just share the on my so basically this is how recursion works. Like you are calling the function against itself, right? And we always use the -1 stuff just to make sure that it doesn't, as you can see, internal error, too much recursion, like Stack Overflow itself. I don't know the best way to explain this. That's why I'm actually sharing the videos with you. I understand it, but I don't know the best way to break it down to a novice level, right? So, but as I say, the best way to learn is by doing. If you have any questions, just straight at me before I actually give us some serious work to do. Yeah? Is there any question? Is there any questions? So in the next class, we'll be talking about object and object-oriented programming. So object itself, we said everything in JavaScript is an object. And object-oriented programming is an architecture, like software development architecture. And if you do Java, anything, you introduce to object-oriented programming. We also have another architecture called functional programming. It's not new, but it's something that a lot of programs use these days, like using React and all that. Or we'd get started with object-oriented programming itself. So for the assignment for to deepen your understanding of functions, the first one is minimum. Write a function that takes 2 arguments and returns their minimum. So basically, you have a function, you can call it minimum, it takes in 2 parameters, so and so. I can do it. Return minimum of this and this, right? There is a function or a method called min, max, like max of min, max of this and all that. So if you do your research properly, you'll be able to get the answers to this. Like you'll be able to tell which of them. You can use the math function. You can actually do it yourself without even using any method. You can do if parameter A is greater than parameter B. Return parameter A if this else. That kind of thing. You know? And we also going to do something on function. And I think the function helps deepen the understanding for functions. Because by the time you start doing returning function in itself, right, and you fall into a lot of issues, you would, I'm expecting us to blow my mind. And in the next class, we would, let me share here. And in the next class, we will be solving this stuff in detail. If you have any questions, you can always tweet at me on Slack. Let me share it with you. So I'm pasting the assignment on Slack. So we already have a video that explains the function. Okay, we can try to solve this problem. So it might take you more than a day, but as long as you understand the function and all that. In the next class, where we start talking about objects and stuff, when we are done with that, we go into DOMs. Right, so where I've been asking about document network and all that, that is JavaScript when you put it in the DOM. It's the DOM that actually sends information to the screen. And we go in that. The first goal is to understand JavaScript itself. And if you can find your hands on there's this exciting book I would refer to it as Untitled JavaScript. It helps a lot. To include if you can get your hands on that. If there are any questions going forward, please let me know. If else, I have to get lunch. So, I guess that's the end of the class. Kennedy, if you can call me after this event, so we can have conversations before the next class.
What did you say? I missed that.
No, I said so. We can, if you can call me. I know I missed our meeting this morning. So if
Oh,
you
yeah.
If you have a chance, we can just.
Okay, I can call you after the class, yeah?
Yeah, after this class, we'll do it.
Yeah, after the class, yeah, we'll call you. Thank you.
So, looking forward to your assignment. Please. You said? So, I'm saying, looking forward to
question from there.
Looking forward to your assignment, and please, we are more than 4 in the class. Let's try to do the stage. Like, the more we know, so trust me, if you do most of this assignment, you would have gone ahead of me, and learned the rest. You realize that you don't even need a tutor. Like, majority of what you do in programming is self-taught. Like, I can only blab and right, but all the work still lies in your hands. So there's no such thing as an excellent tutor or stuff. There's only an excellent student, the guy that goes beyond what you are prepared to learn more. So if you can get your hands on this book, I think it's also free online. Eloquent JavaScript is also a nice resource for you to learn about JavaScript itself. And, yeah, thank you very much, and see you on Thursday. I'll hear from you on Thursday. You can always send me messages on Slack if you need more clearance on what we've talked today. So, have a good day.